everybody, Mike Iaconelli here. Welcome to a brand new In the Shop on the Lake. And I'm really excited to give you a new bait that's going to be a game changer. You know, in some of these shops, we like to introduce you to brand new lures that are hot off the presses. And this is one of them. But I'm super excited because it's a bait I helped Berkley develop, and it has an action and a movement unlike anything out there. Whenever there's a lure that comes out and it has something that makes it totally different and unique, it's usually going to be a player in your fishing, and this one will be. So here in the shop on the lake, I want to introduce you to the brand new Berkley PowerBait Nessie. That's right, just like Loch Ness, this thing's called the Nessie, and it is one of the world's first soft glide baits. Man, this thing is special. If you've been following bass fishing the last few years, you've heard this term glide bait. And what glide bait is referring to is the movement of the lure, from tighter S's to big, long, wide S's, and the ability for a glide bait to draw fish to the lure. Well, this is in that category, but it's got a lot of differences. It's got a lot of features and benefits that make it stand out from a normal glide bait. In no particular order, let's start with the first one, which is the Berkley PowerBait Nessie is soft. It's a soft glide bait. And that is so unique, but so important to catching more fish. So basically, you know, think about a hard glide bait, a bait that is resin or plastic. It's rigid, it's hard, and it's very mechanical. Mechanical in the sound, mechanical in the movement, in the joint. But this is soft. This is soft power bait. And that soft bait gives it a fluidity of movement, right? So that glide bait movement we're talking about, tight S's, wider S's, even the 180s, it happens more fluidly and more naturally, and it sounds and looks correct, okay? So big time benefit of it being soft. The other benefit of this bait being soft versus a hard glide bait is it's compactable. It folds on itself, okay? So think about that. You know, a hard glide bait is rigid. So when a fish puts his mouth on it, it only has a limited amount of movement. It can only go left and right so far. Plus, when the fish feels something that's hard, that's not natural. So his instinct is to let go. But on the brand new Berkley PowerBait Nessie, it's soft and it collapses. So when that fish gets it and he feels it, it's soft, right? Like a real bait fish. It folds in his mouth, he grabs it, he takes it deeper, and he doesn't let it go. Remember, this is not only soft, but it's power bait. So it has the scent and it has the taste. And when that fish grabs it and it folds, he's going to catch it. You're going to catch that fish. One last feature of it being soft is that you can skip it and fish it easily around cover. Most of these hard glide baits, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-inch baits, they weigh 3, 2.5, 4, 5 ounces. They're very hard to cast, they're very hard to skip, they're very hard to fish around cover. But not the Nessie. The Nessie is soft. So we can skip it, we can bang it off cover. We don't need a specialized rod, it's light. So we can fish it like a normal bait. Very, very fishable lure, unlike a big, heavy, hard glide bait. All right, let's get into some of the features that make this thing very special. Maybe I'll just start from the back and we'll work toward the head. If you look at it, this is a soft glide bait that has a paintbrush tail. An actual paintbrush tail molded into the bait. They use a special molding process where it won't come out. And the great thing about a paintbrush tail is that it looks real, right? It's hard to duplicate the look of that tail with regular plastic. So it's got the paintbrush tail. If you're watching this and you're a hardcore swim bait guy, you know that that's a qualifier. You gotta have a paintbrush tail for it to be a real swim bait. So it's got the paintbrush tail, but the other thing I love about that tail, it adds a little crunch to the bait, right? So the bait is soft, but the tail has a texture to it. It has, you know, a feel to it. And that really helps those fish think that it's real and they won't let go, okay? So paintbrush tail. The next thing is the movement. And I cannot wait to show you guys the underwater footage of how this thing swims. And it's stays horizontal, and it has these amazing gliding motions. We can actually get this bait to spin 180 or even 360. And as we do it, it stays horizontal, just like a real bait fish. And we accomplish that through this hybrid design. And what I mean here is it's a soft bait, but if you look, we have two hard, this is regular plastic, hard plastic, stabilizing fins. So the great thing is it doesn't affect its movement. In fact, it keeps it horizontal, it makes it stable. And these hard fins are what's going to really give this bait exaggerated movement and that ability to turn on itself. So stabilizing fins, hybrid design. Now let me get to the joint. You know, there's triple joint baits, there's quad joint baits, but a true glide bait has two joints. It has two sections with one joint, two sections with one joint. And if you look at that single joint, it has a wider side in the back than it does in the front. So maybe the best way to show you is I can just open up that single joint. And that wide piece of that back joint, when that water hits it as you reel it, it wants to move it this way, and then the water hits it this way, and it wants to turn it this way. So that wider joint in the back gives it movement all on its own. A couple of the retrieves I'm going to show you with this bait, you just reel it, and that bait on its own is going to go left to right, that S-ing swimming pattern. Okay, so one joint, two pieces, a front and a back. But Berkley came up with something to keep these joints connected and something to act as a hinge to make that movement more natural. And if you look really close, we have a specialized mesh that connects the front with the back. So in the middle of that joint, there's specialized mesh. So that's going to keep it from tearing. You're going to catch a lot of fish with it. It won't tear. You could skip it around cover, docks, trees. It won't tear. But that mesh is also going to help it go left and right and almost act as a soft hinge to that glide bait. Okay? Let's go to the hook, because the hook system on this is so unique, and it's going to allow you to do things you cannot do with a hard glide bait. So the Berkley PowerBait Nessie has this specialized hooking system, and basically, if you look at it, we've got a through-wire head design. It's got two split rings with a bearing swivel in the middle, and attached to the business end, we have a super sharp treble hook. But really, the piece that makes this special is this clip. And Berkley developed a specialized U-clip in the belly to allow that hook to stay in place. So if you look, we have a little slot in the belly where that hook's going to sit. But as we push that hook in, we want to push it into that clip. And you actually can hear it pop in. You ready? You heard that little snap. And the hook snaps into place. And by doing that, it keeps that hook in the right position and keeps it tight to the body. So what we're going to be able to do with this bait is skip it, bomb it, long cast it. We're going to be able to bump it on stuff, and that hook will stay where it's supposed to be. But the great thing about that clip is that when a bass bites it, a big 3, 4, 5 pounder comes up and eats it, gets it, boom, the clip's loose enough to let the bait fall away. And when we're fighting this fish, you're fighting him on the hook, and he won't be able to leverage that bait like if it was still attached. On hard glide baits, you're not going to have that. That's why you lose a lot. With the Nessie, it's soft. You're going to land a lot more fish. All right, let's keep going. The next thing I want to talk about is the paint and the look of this bait. If you look at the eyes, we have oversized eyes on this swim bait. Exaggerated size eyes. And the reason for that is bass are keyed in on the head of the lure, knowing where the eyes are. A lot of the fish, when this makes a 180 turn, the fish will headshot it. So oversized eyes act as a bullseye to help those fish get the bait where you want them to get it, which is in the front. The next thing you're going to see is the paint. And I am so happy about this on this bait, and it's custom hand-painted colors on 8 of the 10 colors of the Berkley PowerBait Nessie. So, you know, when you look at it, you can instantly tell it looks hand-painted. It looks airbrushed. You know why it looks like that? Because it is! Most of these other soft swim baits have a pad process or a printed process, prefab process. These are hand-painted, one at a time. Very cool feature. 8 of the 10 colors are really going to be a forage match, and you could dial it in to the forage on the lake that you're fishing, okay? All right, let's get into the last big feature and benefit of this, and then I want to tell you about the sizes real quick. I want to tell you a little bit about how we're going to fish them, and then let's get to fish these baits. All right, the last feature of this Berkley PowerBait soft glide baits called the Nessie is that you can weight it. You can customize it on the fly. Weighting hard glide baits, really difficult. And when you weight them, it sort of changes the action. But with this Nessie, we've got pre-marked areas. We've got a little dot in the nose. We've got a little bullseye dot on the tail. And you could even stick one in the belly. And you just get a regular nail weight. Just any size, regular nail weight. And we can get this nail weight, stick it in that little bullseye. You ready for this? It's soft. Push the nail in. Now I can weight this bait to get it to sink a little faster. I could add 2 or 3 nail weights to really get it down. So instead of this bait just being good in 0, 5, 10 feet of water, now I can fish this bait deep, 15, 20, 30 feet of water by adding weights. Same thing though. If I want to change it on the fly, pull the nail weight out, and I'm back to the original bait, which is ultra slow sink bait. Super amazing movement. Okay, I want to get to the sizes real quick, and then let's start fishing. And I want to show you the 6 retrieves I can do with this bait. So in sizes, we have a 9-inch, great size when you have bigger forage. We have a 7-inch, great size for when your forage is moderate. And last but not least, we have a killer small 5-inch bait for when your forage is small or when you want to finesse, right? If the fishing's tough, the water's ultra clear, that's a great size. So 3 sizes, 9, 7, 5, 10 colors, 8 hand painted, 2 standard. This bait is going to change the way we fish swim baits. Here it goes, guys. Berkley PowerBait Nessie, one of the world's first soft glide baits. Let me stand up on this deck and show you the 6 retrieves I'm going to fish with this lure. All right, everybody, I want to give you a quick rundown of the 6 different retrieves we're going to be able to do with that brand new Berkley PowerBait Nessie. It's one of the world's first soft glide baits. The thing I love about this bait is it's got very unique movement. So in no particular order, these are the 6 retrieves. The first one is basically just called the steady retrieve. And this is the easiest to use. It's one of the great things about that big single joint in the back, that big hinge, is that all we have to do is reel the bait and it's going to come alive. So the steady retrieve is retrieve number 1, and just gonna make our long cast out there. When it hits the water, we're just gonna start reeling it. I would call it a slow, medium, steady retrieve, letting that bait activate all by itself. I put on this real bright white one so you could see that thing swim from a ways off. And that's all just by reeling it, okay? So the first technique, the first retrieve method, cast it out, let it hit, and we're just gonna steady wind it. The one thing I like to do on every retrieve, including this one, is every once in a while, I'll just throw in a pause and I'll put slack into it. And when we do that, if you watch the bait, here's slow, steady, this is the steady retrieve, and I'll pause it. And when I do that, the bait kind of turns in 180s on itself and suspends for a second, and then I start that retrieve again, okay? So the first retrieve is easy, and we just have to reel it. Just steady reel it, okay? Retrieve number 1, steady reel. Let's go into retrieve number 2, and then I'm gonna give you the 2 opposite spectrums, okay? The first one's gonna be the slow roll, And on this one, this is the one where a lot of times I use a nail weight. I'll actually put a little nail weight in the chin, maybe one in the belly, maybe one in the tail, depending on how deep I wanna get it. But in slow rolling, I'm gonna reel this thing ultra slow, okay? So, same thing, long cast out there. It's gonna hit the water. And then this time, instead of burning it back, I'm barely gonna reel it, guys. Like, I am turning my reel handle just at a snail's pace. And when I do that, you're gonna watch this bait come alive. All right, so number 2 is the slow roll. I'm gonna cast it out, it hits, and then this time, I'm just gonna really slow my retrieve down and barely reel it back. And you see the bait, the left to right, even though it's slow, it just becomes way more exaggerated. And it's got this slow, deliberate movement. But just like the steady retrieve on the slow roll, every once in a while, I wanna pause it. And when I pause it, it fades off. It does a little bit of that 180, watch this, look, barely reeling it, left to right. And I pause it, gets that turn, stops, and just barely comes in. So I want you to really get a look at my reel handle. You know, on the steady retrieve, here was my reel handle. But on the slow roll, watch how slow I'm reeling this. Look at it. I'm barely turning it, barely moving it, and then pausing it. And then barely turning it. So with the nail weights, we're gonna be able to get this bait really deep. In shallow water, it's gonna make that S a lot wider. It's gonna give it a wider movement. So retrieve number 2 with the Berkley PowerBait Nessie is the slow roll. All right, retrieve number 3, I'm going the opposite way. Retrieve number 3 is burning the bait back, burning it back. And burning it is a great technique when the water's clear and when you're trying to get a reaction strike. You know, on a lot of other hard glide baits, when you burn it, the bait will blow out. It can't handle the speed. But because the Nessie's soft, right? Remember, it's power bait. It's gonna be able to keep moving at rapid speeds, okay? So burning, we're going the opposite direction now. We're gonna make that cast out there, it's gonna hit, and I'm gonna put my rod tip down, but I'm gonna reel really fast. It tightens up the movement a little bit and gives it that nice steady S movement, okay? I'm gonna show you again. I'm gonna bomb it out there. I'm gonna keep my rod down and I'm gonna reel really fast. And look at the movement of that bait. Just like the other 2 though, I wanna throw in a pause. And look at it turn on itself when it pauses, right? I'm gonna show you one more time. Burn, retrieve, rod tip down, and now really crank that bait in. Crank it fast, it won't blow out, and throw in your pauses, and that bait's gonna turn on itself. So burning is a great, great technique when you're trying to get more of a reaction strike. All right, now as we're talking about burning, I'm gonna give you retrieve number 4, and it is waking the Berkley PowerBait Nessie. And in the waking retrieve, It's a lot like what we just did with burning, except this time we're going to keep our rod tip high, and we're actually going to get this bait to wake just under the surface. This is almost like a topwater presentation, but the fluidity of the bait really attracts the fish, okay? So here's the wake. We're going to make that same long cast, but this time we're going to keep our rod high. And when we do that, look at the bait, how it snakes under the water, bulging the surface. Same thing, a pause, let that bait turn, and start waking again. So on the waking retrieve, we're really fast like burning, but this time we want to keep our rod high and make that bait V-wake just under the surface. You get to a piece of cover, pause it, let that bait look at the fish, and then start waking it again. Really, really, really effective retrieve when the fish are feeding up. All right, retrieve number 5. This is another one of those retrieves that really can create a reaction strike, and it's called jerking the Nessie. Jerking the Nessie. And if you fish a jerkbait, a suspending jerkbait, a floating jerkbait, you know that wrist twitches, the cadence of a jerkbait. Twitch, twitch, pause. Twitch, 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 pause. We're going to do the same thing with that Berkley PowerBait Nessie, and it's going to make it really erratic in the water. So this time, instead of just using our reel, we're actually going to start using our rod to give it movement. So we're going to make that long cast out there. The bait hits the water. This time, I'm going to give it 3 twitches and a pause. 4 twitches and a pause. 2 twitches and a pause. Twitch, 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 pause. Twitch, 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 pause. And it really makes this bait erratic. It goes left, it goes right, and the thing I love about this jerking technique is the bait changes every time. There's no predictability to the movement. So I'll show you that jerk and retrieve one more time. Long cast out there, and just like a jerk bait, twitch, 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 pause. Twitch, 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 pause. Twitch, twitch, pause. Twitch, 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 twitch. You know, just change it up, just like a jerk bait. And if you look, that thing goes left, right, left, right. The pause turns the bait, left, right, left, right, left, right. The pause turns the bait, and it's a lot like a jerk bait. So in the jerking technique, we're going to use our rod. We're going to twitch the bait, throw in the pauses. It's going to make the fish react. All right, last but not least, and this is my favorite retrieve to do with the brand new Berkley PowerBait Nessie soft glide bait, is walking the dog, or what I call the dead walk technique, okay? And if you've ever fished a topwater walking bait, a cigar style topwater walking bait, that cadence of rod, reel, rod, reel, rod, reel, where you get that bait to walk steady, we're going to do the same thing underneath the water with the Nessie. And it's really a combination of rod and reel movements in order, right? So hits the water, twitch, reel, twitch, reel, twitch, reel, twitch, reel, twitch, reel. And watch that bait. It looks just like a topwater walking. The great thing about this dead walk is look how much slower, or how much more time I could keep this bait in the strike zone. Left, right, twitch, reel, left, right, twitch, reel, left, right, twitch, reel, twitch, reel. I'm going to cast this out there again, and I want you to really take a look at the alternating movements of my reel and my hands, okay? So take a look at the reel, and this is how you're going to dead walk. You ready? So it's twitch, reel, twitch, reel, twitch, reel, twitch, reel. Twitch, reel, twitch, reel, twitch, reel, twitch, reel. So you're twitching, you're reeling in your slack. You're twitching, you're reeling in your slack. And once you get that rhythm going of twitch, reel, twitch, reel, twitch, reel, they're almost like quarter turns of the handle. Twitch, reel, twitch, reel, twitch, reel, twitch, reel. It's going to give that bait that very distinctive left-right movement in the water. I want to show you one more time, and I want to emphasize, look at that thing. There's the dead walk, guys. Look at that bright white bait coming at you. That's the dead walk. And I want to emphasize, every once in a while, throw in a pause. Ready? Pause. Boom. The bait does a big S. Pause. The bait turns around and looks at the fish. And when that bait on any of those retrieves steady, slow roll, burn, wake, jerk, dead walk. When that bait's moving and it 180s and looks at the fish, he eats the bait. All right, guys, there's the 6 different retrieves with the Berkley PowerBait Nessie. That's that brand new soft glide bait. The best of all, and I left this out earlier for you guys, is the price. If you're a glide bait fisherman or you've looked at them from afar, you know those big, hard glide baits can be $100, $150, $200 sometimes for one bait. All 3 sizes, all 10 colors of the brand new Berkley PowerBait Nessie, guess what? Under $15. The great thing about that, it's going to make these very accessible, affordable to most people. Real quick while I'm here, let me talk about tackle, and why this Nessie's so awesome is that you do not need specialized tackle. Depending on the size, you could just use the tackle you already have. This is the 9-inch. For the 9, I like a 7.3 to 7.6 medium heavy rod. For the 7-inch, a 7 to 7.4 medium heavy casting rod. It's fine. And last but not least, that 5-inch, you could throw it on a light casting or a spinning rod. It works great. 7 to 7.5 foot medium action spinning rod, cast at a mile. So you don't need specialized tackle. Use the equipment you already have. That bait is going to work great. All right, enough talking. Let's go fishing a little and see if we can catch one.
Oh God, got him, giant, oh my God, it's a giant, dude, on the new glide, on the Nessie. God, this is the kind of bites, like that movement, I was doing a slow, steady, and I just 180'd it, guys. I 180'd it. Ah! This is the guide on the Nessie, guys. I 180'd it and looked at him and he couldn't stand it. This was a slow, steady retrieve, the steady retrieve with a combination of a look back, a kickback, a 180 kickback. Look at that thing. Guys, look at this. Look at this brick, guys. Oh my, yeah! 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 Oh boy, so excited. Guys, there it goes right there. There's a great look. There's a great look at how they eat this bait. Please, if you're watching and you've never fished a glide bait, if you've been scared or intimidated to fish a glide bait, give this one a try. This is a game changer, guys. This is the brand new Berkley PowerBait soft glide bait. It's one of the only ones of its kind. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to have specialized equipment. You can just reel the thing. Best of all these baits under 15 bucks. That's the brand new Berkley PowerBait Nessie. I hope you enjoyed watching this in the shop. It's coming out very shortly. Icast 2023. Yeah!
Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli. I hope you enjoyed this week's In the Shop. I hope you learned a little bit. And if you like these videos, remember, there's a whole boatload. Check out these 2 and you're going to learn more about bass fishing.